Today, the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals held that a man who was a U.S. citizen who lost his citizenship because of a very serious crime that he was convicted of, he cannot be deported. This is the story out of the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals involving Gonzalez. He came to the United States illegally in 1981 from Mexico. Years later, in 1989, he became a green card holder. Then in 2009, he applied for U.S. citizenship. He had a small criminal record at the time of his application, but then while his N-400 was pending, friends, he was arrested for a very, very serious crime against a child. On his naturalization application, he lied about whether he had been arrested for or convicted of any other crimes. During his interview, he lied about whether he had been arrested or convicted of any other crimes, when in fact he was already arrested for this very serious crime. He was granted naturalization, citizenship, and then 2 months later, he was convicted of this serious crime. He pled guilty, 1 count of sexual abuse of a minor, and he went to prison. And he maintained his U.S. citizenship for 10 years. Fast forward to 2019, when President Trump was in office, Trump 1.0, they started a denaturalization process against him. They wanted to automatically revoke his naturalization, as we've discussed in a recent video about the automatic revocation of naturalization if you've lied on the N-400 application about whether you had ever been arrested for or you had not been arrested. You may have just committed a crime for which you were never even arrested for, but you lied and told the government no, when in fact it should have been a yes. In Gonzalez's case, the denaturalization process was successful and he lost his citizenship. It was revoked. He was placed in removal deportation court. And here's where it gets really interesting, friends, because while in deportation court, the government was aggressive about having him removed, and the immigration judge granted their request and he was ordered removed, deported, and the judge also denied his application for cancellation of removal for the 10-year green card. He appealed that decision and it went to the Board of Immigration Appeals and they agreed with the judge. Then he took his case outside of the immigration court system to the federal district court and then up to the Third Circuit, and then his case was moved ultimately to the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals, and the Sixth Circuit held that, consistent with Supreme Court decisions from the past and other decisions, you cannot deport a U.S. citizen who was convicted of a crime while he was a U.S. citizen. Gonzalez, guys, remember, although he was arrested before he became a citizen, he also lied on his application about the crime and not being arrested and all of that. He was then ultimately convicted after he became a U.S. citizen, 2 months later. And so the Sixth Circuit said he was not an alien, because the government is making the argument that he was an alien. He committed a crime. He was convicted of a deportable crime. But then when you look at the statute and such regarding this, it says that an alien is deportable. He wasn't an alien anymore. He became a U.S. citizen. And so therefore, they could not deport him. Certainly, I think this case is probably going to go further. It might even go up to the U.S. Supreme Court, because the Trump administration has been trying to deport him since 2019. Didn't work. Hasn't worked so far. And now the Sixth Circuit backs him up and held that he cannot be deported for now based on his conviction, because he was a U.S. citizen at the time when it happened. But if he breaks the law again as a resident, certainly he could be deported. How interesting is immigration? You've got to understand these rules and nuances. Follow for more if this piques your interest.